This is the Eye on Annapolis Daily News Brief, keeping you informed about the happenings in Annapolis and the area. Local news, local sports, local events, local opinion, and of course, local weather. The Eye on Annapolis Daily News Brief starts now.
Good morning. It's Thursday, July 30th, 2020. This is John Frenaye, and this is your Eye on Annapolis Daily News Brief. Yesterday, Governor Larry Hogan announced a pause in the reopening efforts of the state of Maryland, as well as a statewide masking order, as well as a public health advisory for all out-of-state travel. In the press conference yesterday afternoon, Governor Hogan said, "We find ourselves at a fork in the road, a critical turning point where we could either continue making progress and continue heading in the right direction, or we could ignore the warnings and spike back up like much of the rest of the country. We are doing much better on our health metrics than most of the rest of the country, and we are doing much better on our economic recovery than most of the rest of the country, and we want to do what it takes to keep it that way. We have come too far together to lose the progress that we have made on the road to health and economic recovery here in Maryland." Now, for the expanded masking order, this takes effect Friday at 5 p.m., and all Marylanders over the age of 5 are going to be required to wear face coverings in the public spaces of all businesses across the state, as well as outdoor public areas whenever it is not possible to maintain physical distancing. The out-of-state travel advisory was a public health advisory. It was issued yesterday afternoon, and it advised against traveling to states with positivity rates of 10% or higher. Anybody traveling to or from these states should get tested and self-quarantine while awaiting the results, and right now it applies to the following states: Florida, Texas, Georgia, Louisiana, Arizona, Alabama, South Carolina, Nebraska, and Idaho. The governor also went over some contact tracing data, which I thought was pretty interesting there. They interviewed a number of people that were tested positive to sort of figure out where, how, and why things were working. And the higher risk gathering spaces were family gatherings at 44%, house parties at 23%, and outdoor events at 21%. The higher risk locations were work outside of the home at 54%, indoor retail shopping at 39%, indoor dining at a restaurant at 23%, and outdoor dining at a restaurant also at 23%. And as far as the employment information and what fields might be a little bit more dangerous, healthcare obviously is at the top of the list at 25%, but other non-public facing businesses, which would be just general businesses, at 23%. Other public-facing businesses such as barbers, nail salons, retail at 13%. And then finally, restaurant and food service is at 12%. I would have thought restaurants and food service would have been a little bit higher. And finally, the governor did announce the retirement of Fran Phillips, who is the Deputy Secretary for Public Health Services at the Maryland Department of Health. She's retiring after a 33-year career in public health. She has led the state's public health response to the COVID-19 pandemic, and she is going to be replaced by Dr. Jinlene Chen, who is the Assistant Secretary and Chief Medical Officer, and she will be serving as the Acting Deputy Secretary of Public Health Services. And actually, Anne Arundel County has got a great connection to both Fran Phillips and Jinlene Chen, as they both were here as our health officer at one point. Maryland nursing homes are kind of freaking out, and I would be too as well. Currently, the regulations say that all nursing home staff members must be tested for COVID each week, and currently the state has been paying for the test. Well, apparently on August 15th, the state is not going to be paying for the test. And if you do the math there, at $100 to $125 a test, let's say a nursing home has 300 employees, that totals up to about $37,000 per week in additional cost. And that seems to be pretty steep. So hopefully they'll be able to work something out and be able to make sure all those people get tested at low to no cost. Back down here in Annapolis, after 2 shootings of young people in consecutive nights in the city here in Annapolis, Police Chief Edward Jackson and Acting Mayor Rhonda Pindell Charles have announced a plan to enhance the community and neighborhood patrols. And Acting Mayor Pindell Charles said that residents need to feel safe in their homes. We're asking officers to step up patrols, bringing additional officers into service, and finding additional resources to investigate the causes of the violence. This is in response to the Monday night slaying of 14-year-old Cameron Wallace, who was shot on Bowman Court, as well as a 17-year-old that was shot in the leg on Tuesday evening on Kroll Drive, which are just a block apart from each other in the Annapolis Gardens community. And in the statement, Police Chief Jackson said the Annapolis Police Department will be omnipresent in the coming days. Police are also planning to organize meetings with community leaders and management companies of the communities hardest hit by the violence. Annapolis needs to get something together on that. All right, some bummer of a news. The party of the year for the ladies has been canceled. Yesterday afternoon, the Paca Girlfriends announced that the 12th annual Paca Girlfriends Party would be canceled. Now, that originally was scheduled for June 24th and then rescheduled to September 16th, but due to the uncertainty of the spread of COVID, they decided to cancel it entirely. The new date is June 16th, 2021, so you want to put that down on your calendar. And this is a huge benefit for Historic Annapolis, like to the tune of $300,000 a year. So this really does hurt Historic Annapolis, and they have asked anybody that was interested in buying a ticket or who has purchased a ticket to consider making that a 100% tax-deductible donation to Historic Annapolis because they've been hit pretty hard in their fundraising efforts so far this year due to COVID as well. So again, the 12th annual Paca Girlfriends Party, which was scheduled for September 16th, has been canceled. The new date for the 2021 event will be June 16th. And finally, a really cool, great story. Mark and Bonnie were visiting Annapolis from their home outside of Philadelphia to celebrate their 35th wedding anniversary. Now, they were married at 1 p.m. on July 27th, so their tradition is to actually go to a church at 1 p.m. for a service and celebrate their love and their marriage. This year with the pandemic, they weren't able to do that, and instead they chose to celebrate on a 1 p.m. harbor cruise aboard the Harbor Queen. Seems pretty simple, cut and dry. Well, Watermark and Captain Mel got wind of this, and they made it a cruise to remember for the couple. Captain Mel made a big announcement on board. There were love songs that were played, and they were presented with a complimentary bottle of champagne. Bonnie teared up as she told the story and about how much it hurt not to be able to celebrate their wedding anniversary as they had in the past, but it meant so much to them that they were still able to celebrate it with Watermark on the Harbor Queen here in Annapolis. Debbie Goslin, who's the president of Watermark, simply said, "We couldn't be more honored that this amazing couple celebrated such a huge milestone with us. Congratulations on 35 years. Well done to the entire team of Watermark." All right, that wraps it up for the news today. Please make sure you're checking out eyeonannapolis.net throughout the day for updates to these stories and more. If you are someplace you can leave a rating or a review, please do that. And let your friends, family, and colleagues know how to get a hold of a podcast, how to subscribe to one, and subscribe to this one. It is Thursday, so we do have Trevor standing by with your Annapolis Makerspace Maker Minutes, and we also have George Young with your local DMV weather forecast. Both of those guys are coming up in just 1 minute, but first, a quick message from Rick Peters from Solar Energy Services.
Hello, energy consumers. This is Rick Peters, president of Solar Energy Services. Have you been looking for ways to save money recently? Maybe you should consider solar energy for your home. Or are you waiting for the technology to get cheaper? If so, how long are you going to wait? Today's solar costs less than 20% of what it cost 10 years ago. But while solar prices have declined every year, so have the financial incentives. Bottom line, if you wait for cheaper solar, you're also waiting for lower incentives. Take my home, for example. My solar system was installed in 2010, and it's been paid off for almost 5 years, and I no longer have to buy any electricity for another 15 to 20 years. If I waited for cheaper solar, I'd still be paying an electric bill. At Solar Energy Services, we have thousands of satisfied customers who are sure glad they didn't wait. So what are you waiting for? Sunshine's a wasted. Call us today for a free solar design at 410-923-6090 or on the web at solarsaves.net.
Sunshine, sunshine, nothing else can make me feel so fine.
Going out? You need the most up-to-date local weather. Here's George Young from DMV Weather in Annapolis with today's forecast.
Hey everyone, this is George with DMV Weather, and this is your Eye on Annapolis forecast for Thursday, July 30th. It was another hot one for the Annapolis region yesterday, and today will bring more 90s in what will go into the books as a very warm month for the region. But the good news is there's relief in sight, and it should start tomorrow with plenty of clouds and a chance of showers and storms as well, with highs in the 80s, followed by more of the same on Saturday before slightly hotter temps Sunday with highs upper 80s to maybe lower 90s, with another threat of showers and storms. Then rain chances in 80s will likely be the theme of next week, especially if and when Tropical Storm Isaias makes some kind of move up the eastern portion of the U.S., likely bringing some level of gusty winds and rain to the Annapolis region. So stay tuned for continuing updates on this potential weather maker sometime maybe next Tuesday through Thursday, as things could get at least a little bit interesting next week. Okay, that's it for today. This is George Young of DMV Weather. Make it a great day out there. Stay healthy and be safe. And be sure to get our free app on all of your devices by searching DC MDVA Weather in the Apple or Google App Stores, and also follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and use our website each day at dmvweather.com so you can always stay weather informed.
The SPCA of Anne Arundel County invites you to take the Plunge Challenge. Post a picture or video on social media of your pet cooling off in the Severn River or your kiddie pool, maybe the Quiet Waters Doggy Beach, wherever. Use the hashtag #TakeThePlungeChallenge. Donate if you can and share with your friends. This summer, the SPCA Puppy Plunge goes virtual so you can still help care and find homes for surrendered cats and dogs. For details, go to aacspca.org.
Every week, makers, crafters, and educators hold events all over the area. Highlighting some of those, here's our Makers Minute, brought to you by Annapolis Makerspace.
Hey, this is Trevor from Annapolis Makerspace with this week's Maker Minutes. On Sunday, the first Sunday Arts Festival returns. They actually came back last month, and I found out too late to put it on this podcast. But you have multiple options to enjoy the festival. First, they're officially doing the festival in person again, on the first block of West Street, with 50 vendors and lots of fun stuff. And second, you can shop online from over 200 festival artists. Also, after the festival is over, they'll be converting to Dinner Under the Stars for outdoor dining and live music. At the London Town Gardens in Edgewater, on Saturday, they have a mini succulents workshop. Celebrate summer by creating a mini potted succulent garden. Pre-registration is required. At Blended Essentials in Severna Park, their summer camps are still going. They're making candles, soap, bath bombs, lotions, and more. Next week's summer camp is beach themed. And just a reminder that the Children's Theater of Annapolis is still holding virtual workshops including triple threats for ages 8 through 14, including vocal, choreography, and scene acting workshops for ages 8 through 14, where students learn actor warm-ups, character development, scene study, and receive coaching on monologues. Also check out Only the Theater for Me, musical theater review summer camp for ages 12 through 18, and theater production for ages 12 through 18 as well. Both just started, so you might be able to get in on it still. And keep an eye out for the Children's Theater of Annapolis fall workshops coming soon. Wine and Design in Annapolis still has take-home kits. This week, check out Grace, Moonlight, Starry Night, and Happy Panda take-home kits and virtual classes. Also check out their 5-slot Bring 5 Friends class tomorrow night. The Kid Museum in Bethesda has some online stuff still. Check out their Make It DIY workshops. This week's theme is music makers again, with lessons like DIY drum kit, creative noise makers, upcycled string instruments, wacky wind instruments, and make your own band. And also check out their Make It summer camps streamed right to your home, including Space Explorers for 2nd through 4th graders, and their Engineer Camp for 5th through 7th graders next week, with more classes the following weeks. The Annapolis Streaming Facebook group is now the Annapolis Music Facebook group, with lots of live options, but plenty of streaming options that you can enjoy from home. Like tonight, check out another Live Arts Maryland Corn Tiny concert, also a stream benefit for Sean Loomis, featuring Robert Mabe and friends. On July 16th, Sean Loomis was rushed to the hospital for emergency open heart surgery. Doing well now, but faces a long recovery and mounting hospital bills. Join Robert Mabe, Nate Chinnenden, Terry Oates, Gina Furtado, Jack Dunlap, James Montgomery, Donnie Walton, Dave Hurt, Cindy Abramo, and others to help support Sean's safe recovery. Tomorrow night, and again on Saturday, check out Larry Lay's 2020 streaming tour. First streaming from Middleton Tavern, then from the Eastport Democratic Club. On Sunday, check out another Doc Pines Doomsday Brunch. Then Saturday, as well as Monday and Wednesday, Spencer Joyce has a live stream as well. On Sunday, Ray of Light Studio and Local by Design have another Bay Zentangle art and appetizers. Crabs will be your inspiration as you lose yourself in relaxing, repetitive design of Zentangle. And then on Wednesday, Ray of Light Studio is having a Learn Watercolor online Zoom class. Since August is finally upon us, that means Art Farm's next batch of summer camps are finally here. Next week, check out their Mixed Media Sculpture Summer Camp, and then in the coming weeks, check out Art Annapolis, Street Art, Graffiti, and Public Art, and Graphic Design Art Camps. Art Farm's still doing some virtual classes. The virtual botanical drawing for beginners continues, and starting soon is virtual beginner macrame. At the Benjamin Banneker Museum and Park in Ellicott City, both tomorrow and Saturday, check out an evening walk and lunar campfire, a leisurely hike through the woods, followed by a look through the long lens at the craters of the moon. Earlier on Saturday, check out mead during Mr. Banneker's time. Discuss the production, importance, and consumption of mead during the 18th century, with free samples. And then on Sunday, check out Befriending Bumbles Native Pollinator Series. Did you know that Maryland has 13 species of bumblebees? Discover how you can help this important pollinator. At the Anne Arundel County Public Library System this week, they have more online virtual meetups, including weekday Facebook Live story times for kids, of course. Today, they have Fandom for Good. The Harry Potter Alliance is a fan-created nonprofit dedicated to organizing fans for good and fights for equality and stands in solidarity as LGBTQIA+ people and allies. Tomorrow, the library has the fastest plane, an imaginary journey around the world and beyond, exploring the world through fairy tales, myths, and fantastical adventures through the streets and jungles of Brazil, America, Mexico, Indonesia, Egypt, and India. Tomorrow they have another great movies discussion with Sam, a 2012 documentary about sommeliers and what it takes to become a master of wine, and it can be watched through the library's access to Canopy with a K. On Tuesday there's Sound Tales, stories, songs, and sounds that spark children's imagination, made 100% by the human voice. And then on Wednesday there's another Intro to Library ebooks and streaming, where they'll explain all the different options the library has for borrowing ebooks and streaming content to keep us entertained and educated. And at Annapolis Makerspace, Tuesday is our monthly Fusion 360 3D design workshop. You can find links to all of these events at the Annapolis Makerspace website at makeannapolis.org. And remember, whether you're making art, software, sawdust, or just a mess, chances are you're already a maker. This has been Trevor from Annapolis Makerspace with this week's Maker Minutes.
Have you ever been to the Annapolis Mall when it opens for the day? Maybe you've noticed the line of folks waiting to get into the Apple Store. As you may know, I'm a Mac user, and today's episode of the Daily News Brief, in fact, all of the episodes of the Daily News Brief have been produced right here on my Mac computer. What you might not know about is Macmedics. They were founded here in Annapolis in 1989, and they are an Apple-authorized premium service provider, the only one in the Baltimore, Annapolis, D.C. area. And what that means to you is that they repair all Apple devices, including the iPhone screens and batteries, all without an appointment. And most repairs are done the same day, usually within 2 hours. They also sell everything except the iPhone and the watch for the same price as Apple. I don't know why you would go anywhere else. Give them a call at 410-757-MACS, or if you're not into the whole letter thing, 410-757-6227. Stop by their retail store in Severna Park on Benfield Road, or their service center in Lanham, right off of Route 50. Or you can always check them out online at macmedics.com. I'll tell you, they've saved me quite a few times, and I know they can save you.
You've been listening to the Eye on Annapolis Daily News Brief. Tell your friends and colleagues this is the podcast where you can keep up on the latest with what's going on in Annapolis. And also tell them about our website, eyeonannapolis.net, where you can find even more information. This podcast comes to you every Monday through Friday at 7 a.m., keeping you informed with the Eye on Annapolis Daily News Brief. And take a moment to listen to our other podcast, The Maryland Crabs, released every Thursday at noon.